Hello, everyone, and welcome to getting your spreadsheet ready for tax season with Landlord Studio. My name is Logan Ransley, and I'll be your host today. And we'll be basically kicking off into all the different aspects of a spreadsheet and how you can get that ready for tax time. So in today's webinar, we're going to be addressing one of the biggest headaches shared by property managers and landlords, and that's the challenge of tracking accounting and your finances on, just generally for tax season and tax time. And we all know the struggle sitting down at the end of the month or the quarter, and for some of you, the end of the year, financial year, and then entering all that data into your spreadsheet from all your different properties, whether it's rental income and expenses, etc., only to find that something's not quite right and the numbers don't add up and you're not really sure exactly where it's gone wrong. So that's what we're going to help you out with today. We know this is a manual process and it's tedious and it can be error prone, leaves you to vulnerable and potential audits. And it's not just a bad nuisance. It's, bad accounting practices and tools can, actually cost you hundreds of dollars each year in missed deductions and really prevent you from growing your rental property business in the way that you want to. So in today's webinar, that's where we're here to help you provide a way out of the spreadsheet terror and hell that you may be experiencing with your finances. Spreadsheets have revolutionized traditional paper processes, offering, new, easier, more accurate ways to manage and track financial data. However, they're not perfect. And actually, according to a study, one study, as many as 88% of spreadsheets contain errors. And kind of makes sense because you've got all these formulas that you're adding to the spreadsheet, and it doesn't take much for just one digit to be off. And then your entire P&L and ledger can be completely thrown off at tax time. And according to the IRS, they actually find errors in over 21% of the paper tax returns that they receive every year. And so why is that? Well, with spreadsheets and paper processes, you can't formulate essential reports, which essentially means, errors are harder to spot. So that basically requires you to be extra diligent on looking at all this information as you go through. And plus they lack automation, which makes reconciling your financial accounts really difficult. Essentially, you're going to have to export all your data out of your bank account and then import it into the spreadsheet or manually update that every single month. And the error-prone nature of spreadsheets can lead to really expensive accounting fees, overpaid taxes, costly audits. And no doubt when you've handed your spreadsheet over to a CPA, for instance, they've definitely come back to you and they've questioned certain things and said, this doesn't look right or this doesn't look right. And there's a lot of back and forth there that is costly and can really just make the whole process, just a lot more painful for everyone involved. Thankfully, there is a better solution and it can help you save a lot more time and money and headaches, which we'll sort of go into a little bit later. But first things first, let's sort of address these issues at hand. To get your spreadsheet, from this, which is a complete mess and a lot of stress, into this, which is, bliss, peace, timely tax returns and happy accountants. Basically, what we need to do is we need to know what a good rental accounting spreadsheet needs and how it needs to be structured. So in this example, we're going to use our own spreadsheet template, which you can get a copy on our website for. We sell one for $7, so you can grab one at the end of the webinar, or if you've got your own, take a few of these examples and put them into your own to really understand how you can do this. So there are a few elements that your spreadsheet needs. The first, accurate expense categories. Second, income and expense tracking sheets. Third, your property address and basic lease details. And the last two is, your tenant's name and contact details and a simple summary page. So for accurate expense categories, we'll go into this. We'll explain exactly what this means, and sort of the separated income and expense tracking sheets will help you separate everything out so that it's nice and simple. So setting these up for one property is pretty simple. You only need one spreadsheet. And it's pretty simple with the data entry of that's quite simple each month. You don't have a lot of expenses going out, and the management side is pretty sort of straightforward. So we suggest having a spreadsheet per property, with each unit sort of tracked separately. So if you've got a duplex with 2 units, then separating those 2 units out, but keeping one spreadsheet for that individual property. That allows you to make sure that every single spreadsheet is structured correctly for each property. If you have a single spreadsheet with lots of different sort of formulas and keeping all the properties in one place, it can actually create a lot of issues going forward. So creating a spreadsheet per property will make it less likely that you'll wrongly assign income and expenses to the wrong property. It reduces the impact of any potential accounting errors, and will give you increased financial granularity across your portfolio. And tracking each unit individually will allow you to see which are cash flowing as expected and where optimizations can be made, while also giving you a full summary of your property's financials for tax time. So doing this right is absolutely essential if you want to maximize your end of year deductions and ultimately increase the ROI of your portfolio. So a final word on this is to sort of ensure there's space to capture essential rental information. So this obviously includes tracking the lease start and end date, the tenant name, contact details, and important dates for things like inspections, and making sure that you're on top of everything as well. So you will need to keep the spreadsheet organized on your computer alongside important relevant property documents such as the lease, property inspection checklists, digitized expense receipts as well. But you can also use tools like Google Sheets, for instance, if you want to host it in the cloud as well. And our spreadsheet is hosted on Google Sheets. That's how we typically recommend landlords to use it. So it's always backed up to somewhere in case your computer, dies or whatever. So whether you use our spreadsheet template, which has sort of default expense categories in line with IRS requirements, or you create your own, it's quite essential to understand the IRS expense categories and how to best categorize your expenses. So let's sort of dive into this. The IRS has some really specific types of categories, particularly if you're filing on the Schedule E, what's the 1040 Schedule E form at tax time. So let's sort of jump into this now and go through this. So there are 15 expense categories on the Schedule E of Form 1040. Some are fairly self-explanatory, such as advertising, expenses, whereas others require a little bit more explanation. So advertising, generally this means expenses accrued when marketing your property to new tenants. This includes things like, newspaper ads, yard signs, online listing costs, everything that's sort of related to marketing your property. The next is auto and travel. This includes vehicle mileage at the standard mileage rate of 65.5 cents per mileage, and that's for 2023. Make sure that you check that each year. It does change. It can change. And it also covers half of the meals you purchase while traveling as well. Cleaning and maintenance, you can deduct cleaning and any sort of routine maintenance costs. Commissions include things like paying a commission to someone to find you a tenant, for instance. This does not include any commissions you pay to real estate agents, particularly when buying a property, but it is for finding tenants, for instance. Insurance is another one. Regardless of the type or number of policies you have, insurance premiums are deductible as they are rental property business expenses. Legal and other professional fees. These include fees to pay lawyers, to oversee paperwork, legal proceedings, as well as tax preparation and your CPA costs as well. So if you use a property management software like, for instance, Landlord Studio, you can also deduct that fee as a expense against your rental property business. You can't deduct legal fees used to defend the title of your property or to recover and improve your property, though. So that's just to bear in mind there. Management fees, property management fees are generally between 8 and 12% of your monthly rental income. So good news is they are also deductible as they are fees. Mortgage interest, you can deduct that. Other interest, generally, if you have interest on a loan but don't receive a Form 1098 for the mortgage interest statement, you can report that here too. You can also deduct interest from other loans as well, taken out for property management purposes, for instance. Repairs, good rule of thumb is that repair is necessary to keep the property in good order and doesn't increase the property's sort of market value, then it can be deducted here. Supplies, taxes, utilities, if your tenant agrees to reimburse you for the utilities at a later date, you will continue to file this as an expense, as it is a deduction as well. And finally, sort of depreciation and others. So depreciation is really quite a useful expense. You can basically deduct this off your rental property tax return, as residential rental properties can be depreciated over 27 and a half years. So really great expense to add and calculate on your tax return. This is where a CPA is going to be really useful for you and help you understand these things. And you can actually start claiming depreciation as soon as your property is ready for rent. This generally means when you start advertising, you can start doing that now. But it's important to make sure that you claim sort of the maximum amount of depreciation that you're entitled to. So we highly recommend getting a specialized real estate CPA that's going to help you with these things. Generally, real estate specific types of CPAs will understand these things a lot better than, say, a traditional CPA. We recommend the realestateCPA.com, Brandon Hall and their team. So feel free to go reach out to them. They're a great CPA and have a lot of experience in this area. And then finally, the other sort of costs could be anything categorized from sort of maintenance management, anything that sort of sits under the other sort of category. But if you're not 100% sure on any of these sorts of expenses, you don't know where your expenses sit within this type of tax return or where they need to be categorized, this is where we really suggest that you reach out to a qualified professional and CPA. They will help you with this. And again, Brandon Hall and their team are great for this option. So let's sort of jump into part 3, which is all about reconciliation, reconciling your data to make sure that it's 100% accurate for your tax return. So entering data into a spreadsheet is a chore. It is. I mean, a lot of us leave it till the last minute. A lot of us may have the discipline to do it, every couple of months. At best, you'll sit down maybe once a week, and log everything that you've had going for you in the last sort of week, particularly if you've got a lot of properties, there's a lot of expenses going out. But most people, though, do this less than once a month, less than a quarter. And this more often than not leads to a major accounting task at the end of the year and inevitably results in missed expenses. To reduce the likelihood of errors and missed expenses, you'll need to regularly match your income and expenses with your bank statements. Super important. It also gives you a lot of insight into how your portfolio is actually performing, because if you don't know your cash flow, then you don't actually know where you're sitting in terms of profitability on your rental portfolio overall. So the process is Pretty simple. Print off a bank statement for the year and then go through all the expenses entered into the spreadsheet and make sure they match. You can then correct errors and add any missed expenses should you need to. But as you can imagine, doing this manually is a pretty tedious task, which is why we built a tool like Landlord Studio to really help you automate this. And we'll show you a demo of that in a second. But before we sort of get into that, we just want to make sure that we run through the spreadsheet and the sort of best practice to make sure that you're keeping that spreadsheet up to date in the right way. So the best practice, so questions to ask yourself. Are you updating your books regularly? Are your business and personal finances kept separately? I mean, a really key insight or a best practice is simply just to separate your personal bank accounts from your property bank accounts. Keeps the statements completely separate, and it makes sure that you're only getting the expenses and transactions from properties specifically. Another one is, are you tracking expenses at the property and unit level? This is going to help you understand cash flow a lot better. Do you know the Schedule E expense categories and what goes into them? Are you tracking capital expenses separately? Are you recording tenant payable expenses? Are you reconciling expenses and then correcting the errors? And is your spreadsheet actually set up to help you track and log mileage as an expense? We know that every mile is deducted at 65.5 cents, and that can amount to quite a lot over time. As simple as driving down to your rental property to just do a drive-by and check on it, you can actually deduct that off your tax return. So, but making sure that you're accurately tracking all those miles is imperative to make sure that you're not going to be challenged during an audit, for instance. So another question, do you have a summary sheet showing your sort of year to date? This is like a rental statement. This shows your total profit and loss over the course of a year. So if the answer is no to any of these things, then it might be worth looking for a solution that can help you sort of simplify rental accounting going forward so that you can ensure sort of more accurate books and more profitable rentals. So let's sort of jump into some alternatives. This sort of takes us to the final next section of the webinar. So how do you replace your spreadsheet and then increase your rental properties profitability and streamline your rental property accounting? So is there a better way? The answer is Landlord Studio. And I want to go into exactly why this is a great tool to replace spreadsheets and ultimately free up a lot of time in your day and help streamline tax time as well. So with Landlord Studio, you can simplify and automate most of the manual processes we've discussed so far. Digitizing receipts at the point of sale, and our smart scan technology will automatically enter the receipt details for you. You can use our automated GPS mileage to accurately track your mileage and automatically put it into your statement. You can set up recurring expenses. You can collect rent online via ACH payments, while simultaneously, tracking and logging all those payments as they happened, reducing late fees, missed rent payments, etc. You can connect your bank accounts to securely import up to 2 years worth of transactions, and then our technology is going to auto match everything with one click, and basically allows you to just reconcile all of your accounts really easily. We've got AI and machine learning built into that, and that's going to recognize everything and just reduce all that manual effort you've put in to date. So, and then finally, you can instantly generate and share any of the sort of 15 accountant approved reports, including P&Ls, Schedule E. So essentially you have complete oversight of your finances instantly whenever you need it. Plus, Landlord Studio is easy and it's free with our spreadsheet import function. So Let's take a look at precisely how to solve all the difficulties associated with spreadsheets. So I'm going to share a very short demo video, which sort of just highlights the main problem and then goes into exactly how you get set up and then how you can get started with Landlord Studio. Before I sort of kick off into that, I see there is a few questions coming into the chat. If you don't deduct depreciation, are you still liable for depreciation recapture? I'll jump back to that at the end of the webinar, and then we can go through that. But I strongly recommend that for really specific types of questions like this, it's worth reaching out to a tax professional, as they will be able to help you with this and actually set up proper tax strategies going forward as well. So let's jump into the short demo video of Landlord Studio, and then I'll come back to answer any questions. And if you have any questions about Landlord Studio or the webinar to date, for now, just chuck them into the chat and we'll get back to that at the end.
What if every property you own could earn you $500 more in profits per year? With rental accounting software and automation, they can. Managing your rentals with multiple systems like numerous apps and messy spreadsheets can quickly become overwhelming. Spreadsheets are time-consuming and prone to errors that could mean the difference between making a profit or a loss. Surely, it doesn't have to be this hard. At Landlord Studio, we understand this struggle. Over the past 8 years, we've helped tens of thousands of investors maximize profits, save weeks of time, and simplify tax season. With Landlord Studio, you can automate expense reconciliation, deep dive into your portfolio finances, and maximize your end-of-year deductions. And getting started is easy. First, create your free account on landlordstudio.com. Add your property and income data, then simply import your spreadsheet with a single click. Next, connect your bank to our secure portal so our auto-matching technology can automate your future expense tracking. Once your transactions are reconciled, you're ready to dive into the reports, which are designed specifically for real estate investors. The whole process takes just a few minutes and will allow you to claim hundreds of dollars in deductions you might otherwise miss. Plus, Landlord Studio pairs award-winning accounting with a full suite of property management tools. Make your time work for you and increase your portfolio profitability. Get started with Landlord Studio for free today at landlordstudio.com.
Cool. So as you can sort of see, Landlord Studio sort of simplifies a lot of what used to be time-consuming, error-prone processes that not all not all spreadsheets can handle. And I guess the main benefit of using something like Landlord Studio is really just to make sure the time saving, getting all the accurate information to your CPA, and making sure that you're on top of your cash flow to really understand how it's performing. And we've surveyed users in the past. They've saved upwards of $500 per property on expenses in some years, purely because they've used the software to make sure that they're tracking everything. As you can see, there's also a lot of other benefits with Landlord Studio, all driven from the mobile and desktop platform. So how can it help you? It eliminates a lot of those things, accurate sort of IRS compliancy, and we offer a free 14-day trial. So it's completely free, and there's also a free plan that you can use to simply replace your spreadsheet overall. We also offer a range of, obviously, the other sort of management fees as well, or management features. So hopefully that gives you a really good overview of Landlord Studio and how it can help you, and how you can also set up your spreadsheet if you decide to use a spreadsheet instead, and how it can make your overall rental property portfolio cash flow a lot better. So in our view, it's time to say goodbye to spreadsheets and hello to sort of seamless property management. We highly recommend you sign up and give it a go. see if it's the right solution for you, and make sure that it's going to fit within your rental property portfolio business. I hope that you've enjoyed today's webinar. We've got a ton of resources on our website as well. If you are looking for more resources, we suggest you jump on there and take a look. Everyone who signed up today, I'll give you a replay of this webinar. I'll also send you a demo video as well that you can go check out around Landlord Studio. I see there's another question from Kathy about the monthly costs. So it's free up to 3 units with some reduced sort of automation functionality. If you've got 3 units or less and you just want a way to completely remove the spreadsheet and start tracking it in a software, then this is the great way to do it. Once you hit the pro plan, or you want more automation, or you have more than 3 units, it starts at $12 a month and scales with your portfolio. So highly recommend just jumping on our website and checking out the pricing page and then seeing if it's going to be the right solution for you. So hope everyone's enjoyed this webinar today. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to us at help@landlordstudio.com. Check our website out for resources around the spreadsheet and also other tax saving advice and articles as well. So appreciate everyone coming on today's webinar. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you have a good rest of the year now that we're coming into Christmas time and the end of year. Appreciate everyone being here, and for now we'll say goodbye. Cheers.